Welcome to the Amnesty Report, episode number 14, the Sam Howell episode, because no number 14 for Seattle has ever been good, ever. Anyway, we go into, last week's records. Aaden didn't do bad. He was definition of mediocrity. Sounds like the Penn State basketball team. But, I just cooked. I'm just like the greatest of all time. I just was like the greatest of all time. Went 17-5. You know what they say. Kolstin's the best, Aaden's the worst. But obviously, the elephant in the room. All jokes aside, Sam Darnold played a game manager role. I thought this the entire playoffs. His defense just needs to do well, and he'll win. Drake May kind of needed to do the same. But the thing is that he played nobody until this game, and that means nothing if you don't. Play nobody. If you play nobody, then play the best team in the NFL the next week. Yeah, you're not going to do much. Drake May is still, this man getting second in MVP voting is a joke, an absolute triumphant joke. This game was not close until the Patriots scored their first touchdown, and it was already 13-0. So, whatever. But they just are not a good team. They shouldn't have been here. If Bo Nix was there on the AFC Championship, that game is not close. Which I know so many people have said that, but it's true. Yeah, who had the Patriots winning this game besides Patriots fans? Yeah, you're lying. Anyway, that's all we need to talk about. Since there's no sports, we get to talk about the NBA trade deadline because that just happened. Absolute snooze fest. Half of these trades mean nothing, but we'll go through all of them, even though they were a while ago. This on February 1st. The Cavs get Keon Ellis, Dennis Schroeder, and Emmanuel Miller. I don't know who Emmanuel Miller is. Chicago gets, I don't know, I think it's Sarek. I don't know how you say his last name. And a couple picks that probably won't mean much. And the big one, the Kings get DeAndre Hunter. This is just a lose. I'm going to be honest. If I had to say a winner, probably Cleveland. They get more depth because DeAndre Hunter's good, but he's not that good. And Chicago's just getting nothing. They're just there for the vibes. But, the Kings are not good, so maybe the seconds will pan out to be high seconds. But besides that, not a great deal for really any side. I think it's just a mad deal. And then Sarek got traded again in 2 days later. He just was not having fun. He got traded from Chicago to Detroit in another 3-team deal. I don't know how to say his last name. I think it's... Actually, I don't know. I'm just going to call him Kevin. Kevin and Sarek in a first-round pick to Detroit. Chicago gets Mike Conley, the old man from Minnesota, and Jaden Ivey. And Minnesota just gets cash to get off Mike Conley. I think Minnesota, they just got cash. So they don't really – I don't think they're really a part of this deal. If I had to say a winner, probably Detroit. I think a first-round pick, even if it is Minnesota's, is still a first-round pick, so I think it's very valuable. Obviously, first-round picks aren't as valuable in the NBA as they are in, the NFL, but still, I think even Chicago, they don't really lose this. I think Detroit wins by a little bit more. This was a shock to me. Jared Jackson to the Jazz I'd say a pretty big deal. The Jazz get Jared Jackson, Vince Williams, John Jakar. I call him the Jock because I don't know how to pronounce his last name. And Memphis gets Walter Clayton, Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, and Georges Niang, and 3 first-round picks. When this trade went down, I thought the Utah got a steal. Jared Jackson is on a 3-year, $150 million deal. Yeah, Memphis wins that. I think Walter Clayton is not that bad. Plus, you got 3 firsts. Now, would I have traded Jared Jackson if I am the owner of, the Grizzlies? No, you don't trade Jared Jackson. You trade Ja if you're trading anybody. And by the way, they did not trade Ja. Once again, another guy who should have been traded and was not. So he's just going to be stuck there probably until the offseason. But I think Utah definitely doesn't, super lose this deal. It's still Jared Jackson. He's a very good player. But, yeah, this is not a win for Utah, at all. This is not the we're going to win more games move you think it is. So I think Aaden has something to talk about. But I don't think this is a loss for Utah in any way, shape, or form, but it's definitely not a win. Memphis definitely wins the deal. Here's Aaden. Let's look at this trade.
Hello, everybody. I know you've missed me. It's been a while. It's been about a week. The thing I don't understand with Utah doing this deal, they have built so much on the future. They've built so much for the future, and then they just trade 3 first-round picks? Doesn't make sense to me. You're in a rebuild mode, and you just, nah. There you go. I believe if the next deal is the deal I think it is, I want to talk about this deal. Sixers fans are really mad about this deal. I disagree. I think this is honestly a win for Philadelphia because I think we can turn these 3 future second-round picks, maybe trade up into the draft, maybe who knows what. And Jared McCain was not seeing a lot of minutes. Now, obviously, people saw what he did his rookie year. They're going to highlight that. He's averaging 6 a night. He's not really impressing me, especially with VJ being on that team. We love VJ Edgecombe here on MCTV. Close enough. Same thing. We get a first-round pick. Now, it is Houston's first-round pick, which I think they could go to the Western Conference Finals. I think that's where I see their peak at.
Very much at their peak, but I don't even think they get there. I think they get second round.
Well, I mean, what? That'd be like a mid to early 20s. That's not terrible, but it's not great. Overall, I think Sixers fans are going to overreact about this deal. I think Philly has their backcourt solidified for the next 7+ seasons. I don't think that's anything to worry about.
Maxey, VJ, and
Grimes.
yeah.
Kolstin, do you want to talk about this deal?
There was a lot of trades that went down in the NBA trade deadline that I could say lose-lose. I think this is a win-win scenario. Now, OKC, they've got the draft capital to do whatever the hell they want. They have, yeah, they just, they got all the draft capital. You could probably give them 4 first-round picks, and they would just be set still because it's OKC. I think definitely with Shea going down, this is a good addition. Now, granted, Shea went down for like a week and a half. He's going to be out for like a week and a half. But I think Jared McCain is a sharp shooter when he's really hot, but he can also be aggressively cold. So I think that you need that front court, that guy to back up Shea, because right now A.J. Mitchell is playing at the shooting guard. So you need that, point guard essence, even though he can play shooting as well. But also, we already saw a little bit of Jared McCain is in an OKC uniform. He played a couple minutes. I'm pretty sure he got 4. He's 4 for 4 shooting. So obviously it's not bad. But if I had to give a winner, probably Philly. I think that OKC does not lose in any stretch of the word. I think Jared McCain is still very talented. It's just Philly didn't really need him. And when you don't need him, you're going to trade him for draft capital. And I think Philly can get maybe like a wing. They need a wing really bad. And they can get it with these picks. You can even use these picks and trade up, in my personal opinion. So I think Philly wins this deal. But this is the big one. This is, the biggest trade, James Harden wants out for the 5th time, deal. So I thought there would be more draft capital involved, but I understand it. The Clippers are trading James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers, if you somehow didn't hear, for Darius Garland and a 2nd-round pick. I'm going to be cutthroat. I think Darius Garland is not great. I think he's good at offense. I think you could argue he's maybe a top 10 playmaker because he's definitely a fast guy. He's the point guard. But I don't understand it from the Clips. You had a good thing going. You had Kawhi. You had Harden. Harden explicitly never said he wanted to be traded out. I don't believe that, but he did say that on a press. Yeah, I don't believe him. But I think this is easily a win for the Cavs because, in my personal opinion, they needed a point guard. Darius Garland did not want to be there. James Harden wants to win a ring. Cleveland is on a downturn. They need to go on an upturn if you want a good spot in the East, besides the Pistons because they're just really good. And you get that point guard essence that they've been looking for. Now, Harden is obviously old. He's old as dirt. There's more hairs in his beard than there is years left in his career. So, yeah, that was a bad, yeah. But I just don't understand it from the Clippers. I don't think Darius Garland, because obviously they're playing for the future. But if you're playing for the future, why did you trade Zubac, which we'll get to? Why didn't you trade Kawhi? Kawhi is obviously, in my opinion, Kawhi is still in his prime. He looks super good, but I don't know. I don't understand the deal. I think the Cavaliers win by a mile. I don't think Darius Garland is that good. So it's definitely not like a super loss for the Clippers, but this is not the you. Yeah, you can't. I don't think as of right now, this was too risky from the the Clippers. I think you had a good thing. The Clippers were on the up and up. Now OKC is going to get a better pick, and we don't like that. So, Jock got traded again. They do. I don't know why. This says it's a 3-team deal. It was just cash consideration for the Cavs. That's all it was. So, and Utah receives Lonzo Ball. I don't think Lonzo Ball is that bad, to be honest, but obviously they just got James Harden, so they didn't need him anymore. And they also got 2 seconds. I don't think the seconds are that important. Nothing burger of a deal. Just Lonzo Ball is a big name. Chris Paul! I love Chris Paul. I don't know if you know that. He's my second favorite player behind, what's his face? The Brody! Russell Westbrook. But Brooklyn just decides they want to get scammed again. I mean, I guess. But this is really just because this deal only happened because Chris Paul wanted a team, I feel like. This part of the deal is just nothing. Because Venja, I don't know how to say it. I don't even know how I'm going to try to say it. Yeah, he's nothing. You're nothing. The second round pick in 2032 is probably going to be nothing. And Chris Paul's old. Yeah, I don't think Chris Paul is anything special. Sorry, Chris, at the end of your career. But at least he found a home because the Clippers did not want him. So, yeah, the Clippers just, they treated Chris Paul so wrong. I hate him. But this was another big deal. Also, I tried to find photos for all these deals. They just don't exist besides James Harden. So, Vucevic and Simons get a flip-flop. Vucevic is the big man going to Boston, and Simons goes to Chicago, the point guard. I think Boston wins this deal, and I don't think it's particularly close. I think Simons was a product of his position. Boston didn't really need to play on that point guard because they had Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Tatum is going to be coming back at some point, but you didn't really need him. You also had Peyton Pritchard, who was taking that starting spot, and I think Vucevic is a very talented center. I think he can. This is like Brook Lopez, except he's not 35. So, the draft picks mean nothing. It's just a switch. But I think Boston wins this in a pretty big way, and I do not like Boston by any stretch of the imagination. So, yeah, good on Boston. They I don't want to say it's a scam, but once again, one team is getting out way better than the other. But Simons is younger. He's 26. Vucevic is 31. So, that's how it be. That's it for the trade deadline. There were a couple other trades, but they were just so small that it just did not matter. But we get to finally talk about the games. The Sixers beating the Clippers pretty badly, I might say. This was before they still had James Harden and all that jazz, but even no pun intended, all that jazz. But I think the offense played incredibly well, and obviously a 19-point lead in the first, just nothing you could do about it. The Clippers played well on offense, but their defense did not show up. And then the Warriors don't have any defense, so this was not a shock to me. But big win. They almost won by 20. This game we just controlled the entire time. It was the third quarter, a 10-point third quarter and a 6-point fourth that got us the win. But VJ Edgecombe, I believe both games, he played pretty well. He's not even on that one. Maybe he didn't. But this game, 40 minutes, 25 points. He has either a 25-point performance, but not great on the rebounds, or a 2-point performance and 10 assists, 10 rebounds. So I don't really understand that. But, going into L.A., might I add, with Luka getting hurt 14 minutes in and losing by 4, I can't say it's not a little bit disappointing. I think Luka's obviously the best player on that Lakers team, and it's not close in my opinion. But with Luka out, I don't even know who their backup point guard is, I'm going to be honest. So I feel like that's kind of disappointing. Now, losing to the Lakers is not, the end of the world because they're 31-19. But still, I think we could have done better. Kelly Oubre put up a fat goose egg of 8 points in 40 minutes. I don't even know how you managed to do that. Embiid has been red hot, but yeah, this was definitely a winnable game considering the fact we were up at 9 at halftime. Then we got outscored by 6 in both quarters in the second half. And then, once again, the Sixers shocking me, although I did pick them, but still. They beat Phoenix by 6 in a game, I thought, obviously there's D-Book. The Suns were projected to get at least a Ja Morant. Maybe you move Booker to the shooting guard. Then they didn't. But I expected him to do something. VJ Edgecombe got injured just a tiny bit. He didn't play for the rest of the game. It was a little bit scary, but he was back. He should be back, so we should be fine, hopefully. But a good win for the Sixers, especially going into Phoenix. I think Phoenix is a bit overrated. I don't think they've played many teams that are, like, truly elite, but still a very good win going into Phoenix. But finally, we have to predict games. So this game we did predict a week ago, but I only do Mondays just in case we're not here. But we get Damian Lillard and actually not Damian Lillard. He's hurt. But still, you get the Sixers and his team and the Trailblazers. I did see that. I was going to talk about the three-point contest, but I don't think it's very important. But, yes, Dame is competing in that. I'm still going to take the Sixers. Portland is kind of just always just there. They're just like a play-in team, then they lose in the play-in. They're just always there. And I think the Sixers are a much better team right now. These records are not right, by the way. We're like 31-30. Or no, not 31-30. We didn't play that many games. Yeah, we didn't play that many games. But we have at least a little bit more wins. But I'm going to take the Sixers. Aaden, who you got? Don't drop the mic.
God, I knew he pulled a Drake May and fumbled it right there. I'm going to follow suit with the small kid. Give me the Sixers. They've been on a hot streak. Honestly, this is going back to the previous games. Very impressed with how that team played over that tough stretch. And they're winning games. You got to give them that. Don't count this team out for the East. Because I'm telling you, whenever it comes playoff time, oh, boy. Kolstin, you know me better than I know me. You got to get the wife and kids here for an ESPN primetime game. The Knicks at the Sixers, Brunson and Maxey, Cat and Embiid. It's just going to be who steps up in this game. I would not be shocked if we sat VJ for this game and then played him in this one. That would not shock me by the stretch. You just being 11 games down. This is kind of like this is a catch-up pick. I'm picking the Sixers at home. I mean, they beat them. They lead the series 2-1. They're kind of owning New York. I just think it's going to be a very good game, Kolstin. These two teams always put on a good game. Kolstin, who do you have in this Eastern showdown?
Now, I would like to mention, I'm a man of trends. The Sixers have beat the Knicks both times in New York. The Sixers have lost at home against the Knicks. I'm going to take the Knicks. I think that the Knicks still are kind of bloodthirsty against the Sixers team, and obviously they have been getting better. Now, obviously, they're under 500 away. They have 13 of their 19 losses away, so they're the opposite of the Rangers. The Rangers are goated away. Yeah, but I think that I think the Knicks just need to still get some momentum, and I think they're going to get it. I think the Sixers, they've been playing a tough stretch. One of these games I feel like you have to drop. You already dropped the Lakers one, but granted, that was close because Luka wasn't there. I think that's not very close if Luka's there. So we're on to the NHL. You're not going to get any predictions for a while because no more NHL this week. But I would like to say I am now 0 for 8 when I pick against the Senators. It's 8. I checked. Well, I am 0 for 8 when I pick against the Senators. Maybe I should pick the Senators. That's when I'll get them wrong. But
you're 0 for 8 picking against them?
Yes, like every single time I've seen the Senators on my screen, I picked them, and I've been wrong. They are 8-0, technically, the Senators are, when I pick against them. So, if you ever see me picking the Senators in the MC report, you might want to bet on that. I'm just saying. But I don't know, but still, they just own me. They took me around the shed, all that. But yeah, but I think the Senators just look better than the Penguins. I think that's really all you got to say. Igor, I believe this. Yeah, is this the rookie? I'm not 100% sure. I forgot the Penguin. Kindle. Yeah, that's not him. But Kindle's in here somewhere. I'd like to mention. I forget what game. But his first shot was a goal. Very impressive. Reminded me of what's his name? Yeah, Malkin. Thank you. But speaking of Malkin, he has shot and goal and assist in this one, a point. But the Penguins cannot squeeze it out. I don't know why you picked the Capitals. I'm gonna be real. They don't. Now Philly, as I said before we got, they were on a really cold streak, especially at home. But they were in Philly. They hate Washington. I would be shocked if they let them lose to Washington. So I think that Philly is obviously, these teams are still, in my opinion, on the same tier. It's just that Philly is just a better rounded team. I think the Capitals are more defensive. Philly's more offensive, and I like offense more than defense, me personally. So, speaking of offense, high octane game. I thought this would be a physical. I thought this would be a physical game. It wasn't. It was a shootout. But the Penguins, they were up 3-2 heading into the third period, and they were up 4-2, and then they lost in OT. So they did the Penguins thing. But obviously, the shooting in this game was very good for the Penguins. They had 36 shots and 4 goals. The problem is that the Islanders had 17 shots and 5 of them went in. So yeah, that's pretty bad goaltending in my opinion. But I think the Islanders are a very good team, so I don't think this is really that bad of a loss. But especially being, I believe, I might be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure, up 4-2 in the third period, you got to win that, at least in my opinion. So that's rough. Now, granted, we completely owned the Sabres, so that's pretty cool. I don't think the Sabres are anything special, but yeah, smoking that Sabres back. But Penguins, they just looked way better. They were out for revenge. This is the Kindle game. This is what I was talking about. Yeah, 2 goals on 2 shots. Just a good game by the Rook. Yeah, both of these guys, 4 goals. I don't know. I don't think Haynes is. I think he may be a second year. But both of them, 2 goals. Haynes shot 6 shots, so I'm guessing we had a lot of shots in this one. Yeah, I just don't know. I actually, the Senators are just goated. I don't understand it. The Flyers had a goal with 40 seconds left in regulation to send it to OT, and then 40 seconds into OT, the Senators scored to end it. They just said they took it to OT just to shove it in their face some more. It's absolutely crazy. Trevor just got absolutely shut down. Cam York got shut down. Yeah, they didn't do much this game. The goaltending was pretty good. Both these teams put up 35 shots, but yeah, they had. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. But we move into college basketball. It's no NHL this week because they're on break. Texas Tech is the most confusing team. I just don't understand them. They either win the big game by 10 plus or they lose it by 3. I just don't understand it. Darren Peterson is still very good at basketball. I don't care what 35 minutes, 19 points. He's still very good. There's a reason why there's still a reason why he's the top person here, but a close game throughout. Texas Tech just couldn't pull it out. Obi Toppin. He's an NBA player. Toppin's on the Red Raiders. I don't know. I don't have that up. But this was a shock. I saw the ending of this game after our broadcast. I forget what day. We will talk about it. But Minnesota just absolutely dogged on Michigan State. They took them around the back on the shed, like I was saying. Michigan State's offense in the first half was just atrocious. Their offense in the second half was very good. Then their defense turned atrocious. I know they didn't drop, but Michigan State, obviously, you should not be losing to Minnesota. I don't care if they're 11-12. If you're in Minnesota, you should not be losing to them. So, yeah, the trend continues. This was just, as I said, word of the day, high octane game. DeBon still went off, but the problem is that if he goes off, it probably means their team is losing because he just 36 minutes, 36 points. DeBonsta is very good. His team is not. So, Oklahoma State is not a bad team by any means, but they are relying heavily on their offense. I've looked up some of their scores. It's 98-92, 92-99, 91-88. Their defense sucks, but man, is their offense good. So, obviously, they almost scored 100. The big 1-0-0. You never see that in college basketball. So, very impressive. But BYU just couldn't. They couldn't keep up. Portland Portland. I was not. I don't think anybody really expected this. They hadn't beat Gonzaga since like 2015 or 2014. So I don't think any. Yeah, I didn't expect it, but I'm not mad. We didn't predict this game, but they just played better. The Pilots. Yeah, I would clap it up. But I have a mic in my hand, so yeah, they just played better. That's all I really got to say.
Turn it off. Next game. You know what? No, give me the microphone.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, that was a game. St. John's beating UConn. What the heck's a UConn? Anyway. But obviously UConn, these two always go back and forth. Now, granted, I did not expect a 9-point win for St. John's. I did not have that on my bingo card, but still, I mean, UConn is still a very good team. This is just a rival that got the best of them in their home court. So I'm not very mad. I'm not mad. I'm not a UConn fan, but. I know that benchwarmer Brian would be mad because his Patriots lost and UConn lost to their rival. So he would be mad, but whatever. There's 2 games on here you're going to see back-to-back. It's just because I want to smack talk. Purdue sucks. They're not good. They're actually playing they're playing Oregon and winning by 4. They're just not a good team. They are Houston, but worse. That's what they are. They have a good defense, and their offense is atrocious. Yeah, we will talk about Houston. They beat BYU, but because BYU can't beat any ranked team. But, this Purdue team is not good. I'm convinced Braden Smith was hyped up to just be the definition of mediocre. I can't with this team. They're just not even a natty contender. Same for Iowa State. Now, I think Iowa State's better than Purdue. Don't get it twisted. But once again, you should not be winning by 3 against the Baylor Bears, especially at home. I think, obviously, I think Iowa State's had a much tougher schedule than Purdue because Purdue didn't have Michigan, Michigan State, Illinois. They didn't have anybody, and they just kept losing. At least Iowa State has to play in the Big 12, which is just chaos, absolute chaos. But, yeah, you should not be. These 2 slides were just for me to trash talk, so whatever. Vandy, after starting, I believe it was 18-0 or 17-0, has dropped 4 of their last 6. Yeah, it's not very good. I think this is Oklahoma. I saw this in the comment section. Oklahoma is the only team to be up at 14 at the half, still winning against the ranked opponent, and look bad. So that's kind of funny. But Vandy, obviously, even if the score was this close, they didn't have a chance. They just weren't in it the entire time. Oklahoma was kind of just playing conservative, which, me personally, you should not do that, but they got away with it. Vandy just too big of a deficit at halftime to win. But I think that he's not here. I think it's Tanner Connor, I think his name. He's very good. He got injured, came back. He's very good, but unrelated. Game of the year. This is not even in doubt. This is game of the year. The only thing that would have been cooler is if after the game-winning shot, the clock just ended. I think that would have been the only way to make it cooler. It did not. It went to 0.4, and then they got a half-court shot that got intercepted. So, not really that big of a deal. But both Caleb Wilson and Cam Boozer, they're no Darren Peterson, but they're pretty good. You could argue they're better than DeBonsta. I don't believe that personally. DeBonsta, I don't believe that personally. I think DeBonsta is a better playmaker, a better passer, blah, blah, blah. I'm a DeBonsta Glazer. But the fact that Duke was up 12 at the half and lost is very telling, in my personal opinion. They have not played much in their schedule. I think the ACC, besides Duke and North Carolina, is pretty weak. They've got a lot of teams that are good, not great. So I think Duke will get to March Madness. They may get deep. But if they face a true contender, that's going to be if they face a true contender, it's either going to go really good, they're going to win by 20+, or really bad, and they're going to lose by 20+. I just can't see them having if these two play in the playoffs, oh my God. Yeah, that would just be absolute cinema. This game was also absolute cinema. This was probably the second best game of the year. The fouls obviously were pretty bad, but still going into overtime, Michigan State coming back and hitting a game winner in both, not game winner in regulation, they sent it to OT, but getting a game clincher, technically, going into OT because they did win, and a game winner in OT is pretty hype, especially at home. I think Illinois is still very good, but I personally always thought Michigan State was better. So, yeah, Michigan State need a statement win. We're going to talk about another team that needs a statement win in a minute here, but they needed this. And then Kentucky, Tennessee, they were a 3-point shooting team. They were not a 3-point shooting team until this game, and then they just stopped in the second half. They just kind of gave up. They did what Oklahoma did, except it backfired. So, especially Kentucky at home, I did not expect them to be down 14 at the half. I went, my prediction's wrong, and then I got it right. So, yeah, Kentucky, just a good win. I think you could argue they are the best team in the SEC, besides maybe Florida. So, yeah, it was this. This was their biggest lead. Kentucky getting a big win. Here's Houston. Houston's we've all known this. Houston's defense is very good, but they did not look great. I think they looked good. They did not look great defensively in this game. It was their offense that got them the win. Obviously, DeMonst is very good, so I'm not really, that's not really shocking to me, but they needed this and they got it. They played better. BYU this is the BYU of the football. They can't beat a good team. So, yeah, DeMonst is a very good player, so I'm not really that shocked. It's every game, bro. It's every game. It's either lose by 30 or have a heartbreaker for Penn State. So, I mean, we were up, I believe it was like 12, right? We were up 12, and we lost. They were just... At least Josh Reed played well. I can't blame Josh Reed for this because he was maybe our best player. So this is just it's Penn State. It's Penn State basketball, everybody. You love to see it or you hate to see it if you're us. So now granted, this is not my team. This is my team that actually wins games. The thing is that we just can't, have it just to have a game that you can win just normally. We just have to take it to OT. But I really thought going into OT we were going to lose because obviously we gave up a 12 or 11-point lead, So, yeah, I did not expect Boise to come back and win this one. But they did. They did well in OT. So, a good win for Boise, especially against Nevada, a very solid team. So, and then, they doubled it up. I was not expecting this. I predicted against them. I'll never do that ever again, totally. But a good win, especially against a very good New Mexico team, especially for the Mountain West. Dylan Andrews is him. He's AJ DeMonsta. He's him. I'm kidding, by the way. He's a shooting guard, but he's very good. He's easily our best player. His defense is a little bit questionable at times, but 33 points in 35 minutes is very good. Once again, though, we just can't have a game where we just pull away. That's not allowed in Boise standards, so that's neat. We finally get back to predicting. It's been a while. A top 10 matchup in the Big 12. Undefeated, 1-2, Arizona, which we're still not talking about Miami of Ohio because they're not playing any teams that deserve it. But Arizona, number 1 in the nation, goes into Darren Peterson's Kansas Jayhawks. Yeah, you think I'm betting against the undefeated team? Absolutely not. I think Kansas, despite being number 9, is, you could argue, the biggest fraud in the entirety of college basketball. Their big wins were Texas Tech and BYU. Neither of those two teams have beat a top 25 team this year. So, yeah, I'm not impressed. I think they need a statement win. This is their statement win if they get it. I think they can definitely do it. Darren Peterson's the best player in the nation. But give me the number 1 team in the nation. Are we serious? Give me Arizona to be 24-0. Aaden thinks the same.
This team hasn't lost. Now, yes, this is by far their toughest test yet. They're going into Allen Fieldhouse, which people argue is the most historic college basketball stadium in the world.
I'd argue North Carolina wins this.
You can make the argument. But Arizona, 9 o'clock tonight. I know what I'm going to be turning on after our MCTV broadcast tonight. I'm just giving out a free promo. You're welcome. Purdue and Nebraska. Both of these teams need a statement win. Neither of these teams have impressed me this season. Nebraska at times has. Purdue at times has. But right now, you got to go with the team who has looked better. And I'm going to pick the home team. I'm going to keep the red theme going and pick the Cornhuskers from Nebraska. Kolstin, what do you have? this Big Ten showdown.
Now, I said earlier, there's a certain team that I think needs a statement win. Obviously, I think Purdue does as well. Purdue has not looked great, but I've done against Purdue. They are not a top-tier team, in my opinion, especially 13th ranked, 4 losses, 3 of them in the Big Ten. I don't think they can win the Big Ten by any stretch of the imagination. We're going to take a break because, Dom just arrived, so we're going to talk to him. We'll be back with the MC Report. Welcome back to the MC Report, episode number 14. I'd like to remind you it's the Sam Howell episode, not Sam Darnold. Anyway, we've got... Now, who cares about him? But we have got a good one tomorrow, 7 p.m. This is not the same day as the Arizona game. This is the day after. Last game, obviously, we just talked about Nebraska and Purdue. I believe. Did you predict this game?
Yes, I went first.
Did you? Okay. Yeah, we both picked Nebraska. So, we're giving a little bit of a spoiler. Miami and North Carolina. Miami has been quietly just kind of doing really well. I think they haven't really played much competition, but they're obviously 18-5, so not terrible. But there's a reason why Miami is, apparently favored. Now, I don't agree personally, but they've been. No, it's you could call it a spoiler, but I don't think they're gonna beat North Carolina. They definitely could. This reminds me of the Illinois. Yeah, it was that, but I think they said Illinois could definitely win. And then, no, it wasn't that. It was the Illinois game. I said they could definitely win, and they won. It was against some big team. But this is a game Miami can most definitely... Yeah, maybe. But it was a game they could most definitely win. I just don't think they will, personally. I think North Carolina is a very good team, so especially after beating Duke. So, tomorrow, 7 p.m., the Hurricanes and the Tar Heels. I forgot who they were for a second. I don't know if you could tell. The Tar Heels, who you got in the ACC.
Boy, do I tell you, there's nothing better than an ACC matchup, as I don't have my pen. That was a great throw and great catch. I hope we got that. That was a good velocity. I had my pen the entire time. It was in my pocket. But I'm going to agree with Kolstin. I'm going to see if I can. That was actually kind of cool. As the Tar Heels are going to go into Miami. I think this is ridiculous. This team just beat Kansas. That's it. They just beat Kansas. Duke. They beat Duke.
Kansas.
Duval. Top 11 team. Good for North Carolina. Colston, can I ask you a question? Why is this game on here?
I will explain. Let me see your pick, and I'll tell you why.
Wisconsin stinks.
Yeah, bro.
Penn State could beat this team.
That's a lie.
I just think Illinois at home. I'm gonna agree with this. I think that's a little too much though. Illinois has no pictures, and they're gonna have no problem at home against this Badger team.
But we're gonna get my pick now. There's a reason why this game was on. The last time Wisconsin faced a top 10 team was Michigan, and they beat them. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, give me Illinois. We need more games. That's basically why this is on here. There's nothing going on right now. So this isn't a terrible game. I just don't think Wisconsin is going to be another top 10 team, technically top 8 again. Now, granted, Wisconsin was at home when they beat Michigan, so they had that home crowd to help. But Illinois, I think Michigan's better still. So I think Illinois is very good. They also need a bounce back. They just lost to Michigan State. This isn't really a bounce back. This is a game you should win. But still, it would be a very nice win, especially against an 8-4 Badgers team. SEC matchup night game. I feel like Georgia always gets the night game. But Florida and Georgia, once again another game where it's like a ranked team taking an unranked, where you could argue the unranked team should be ranked. I don't think so, me personally. I don't think Georgia's a very great team, which is why I'm going to take Florida. I'm picking a lot of the ranked teams. How's that going to go wrong? But I think especially going into Georgia, it's going to be tough. This is the number 1 team in the entirety of the SEC for a reason. They're 8-2. But Florida's been on a hot streak as of recently. I don't see that ending against Georgia. I think Florida's defense is going to dominate Georgia, me personally. I think Georgia's offense is their main vocal point And I think Florida's defense is a lot better. But we got the Gators, and we got the Bulldogs in Georgia, Dogtown. Who you got, Aaden?
The Gators and the Dogs, these two teams do not like each other. These two have a very historic rivalry in college football, in college basketball. Florida's just been so hot to not pick against them. I mean, yes, I could really dive into it, but I just think the record shows, now, yes, they have the same record, but look in the SEC play. 8-2 versus 5-5, and I think that's going to be the difference. The Gators walk in to the Peach State and come out with a peach-shaped W.
Yeah, bro.
Michigan State and Wisconsin. Oh, this is going to be a really good game. But in my personal opinion, with the loss to Illinois, I think the Spartans are going to be able. With the loss to Illinois, Michigan State will win this game. I think Wisconsin's going to go on a bit of a slide. 8-4 in the Big Ten, 10-3. Michigan State's just so well-rounded. I think they'll be able to out-rebound this team, come out with a victory.
Now, as I said, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Wisconsin, last time they were at home against the top 10 team, they beat Michigan. Michigan is no slouch. Now, I think, me personally, Michigan State plays not a very different play than Michigan, but they do play somewhat different. I think Michigan State is a little bit more tempo than Michigan. Now, granted, going into Wisconsin, they're going to try and control the tempo. I think it's how you beat these top 10 teams. But when it's all said and done, I can't pick against the Spartans. I think that Wisconsin, it's a fluke game. I think that Michigan is a very good team. They just got away with one. Now, I will say they probably have a better chance to beat Michigan State than Illinois, even though, Wisconsin has Illinois just beat Michigan State. But even on Fox, prime time hoops, maybe Gus Johnson on the call, give me Michigan State. We finally go into Saturday hoops. There's going to be a lot of these. Duke is looking for a bounce back. I think they play one in between this, but still. This is, a Clemson team. These are the two top teams in the ACC right now, and I cannot bet against the Blue Devils. There's a reason they're still number 4. They're still a very good team, especially with Clemson. They've been kind of playing these lower-class teams. Their only loss ACC play is NC State. So I think Duke is just a much better team. I think that's all it really comes down to. Clemson is still very solid, 20-4. But there's a reason why Duke's number 4. They've been able to take care of business. Their only loss, a game winner against North Carolina, a game in which they were up by 11 or 12 at halftime. I cannot see Duke dropping 2 straight. But in a top 20 matchup, does Duke drop 2 straight?
Clemson's coming off a cross-country win at Cal. They're 10-1 in the ACC. Just like Duke, they're 10-1 in the ACC. I just can't pick against Duke and Cam Boozer. Boozer's averaging 23, 10, and 4 a night. This guy, he might be the best player in college hoops. Some could argue. Some could argue DeBonce to Patterson. Please forgive me, Kolstin, for making one grammatical mistake. But I just don't think Clemson can walk into Cameron Indoor Stadium and beat this Clemson Tiger team. UCLA and Michigan, I'm telling you what. If UCLA wins this game, I would be shocked. Michigan, they've had one loss, and it was against Wisconsin at Wisconsin, and a night which they just weren't feeling it. This team's they're coming off a win that they killed Penn State by 40. They'll be able to carry that momentum. But they're coming off a 40-point win against a Big Ten team. They're going to play another Big Ten team. You can make an argument that's too high, in my personal opinion. Give me the Wolverines by 20+.
That's an interesting take. This is just a clear match. It's tempo versus physicality. And if you know me, I like that smash mouth football, as Aaden says. I like that, gritty in the paint, all that, which is why I'm taking the Wolverines. Are we serious? UCLA is a very solid team. Let's not get it twisted. 9-4 in Big Ten. But they are no Michigan. They are no Michigan State. They are no Illinois. I would even go as far to say they're no Purdue, but I don't think Purdue's very good, so whatever. Michigan, obviously, they've got some debts to pay. They want to get, that top team in, maybe the nation if Arizona falls to Kansas. So, yeah, Michigan just wants to keep winning. You got to keep your foot on the gas pedal. I think they get it done against UCLA. Here's Kansas once again in a top 10 matchup. I was saying it earlier. Iowa State now number 5 in the nation. They've had a bit of some games where they've looked shaky. Obviously, the win against Baylor I was noting about. But in Iowa State, Kansas coming to town, Darren Peterson, it's physicality versus speed. And I like physicality more most of the time. I think Iowa State needs that statement win still. They may be top 5, but they're not great against top 25 teams. Sometimes they're not great against unranked teams. And I think Kansas is a very beatable team. If Darren Peterson's not on the floor, this team has... Oh, I'm going to forget the shooting guard's name. Oh, what's his name? No, it's not White. He's just there. Oh, I forget his name, but whatever. Kansas has the 1-2 punch in that shooting guard and Darren Peterson, and I think Iowa State is just well-rounded, and I think that's what gets them this win. But I think Kansas takes a bit of a fall off. Now, I said this with, I believe it was Texas Tech, and I was wrong. They won 2 straight. So we'll see if that comes back to bite me. But as of right now, it should be anyway. The rankings don't change every week. A top 10 matchup between Kansas and Iowa State. Who you got?
I was looking at this game down the road thinking, this is going to be a really good game. Kansas really needs, if they want to prove themselves as a national championship contender, they're going to need to go into Iowa State and do that. Now, do I think Kansas can do it? Very possible. I was honestly going to pick them heading into this game. But I just think Iowa State, coming off a loss, they only have 1 loss all year heading in they beat Baylor, but still, they need to prove it win. Yeah. And I think Iowa State's going to do it at home. Now, if this game was in Kansas, I would pick Kansas.
I'd be picking Kansas.
So you're just copying me. A&M and Vanderbilt. Now, Vanderbilt's been on a slide.
So is A&M.
A&M's on a slide as well. It's just, who do you trust? And me personally, Kolstin, I'm going to be trusting the gold team in the Vanderbilt Commodores. They're home once again here at Memorial Gymnasium on Saturday. $600.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think it's a rivalry. That's why.
Oh, then, yeah, give me Vanderbilt by more then. Rivalry games, teams are going to come to play. And I think the home team's going to pull this out once again. Colson, what do you have in this rivalry showdown?
Now, A&M is a very good team, but we just saw their true colors, in my personal opinion. They played Florida and got absolutely smacked at home. They just, were put back in the shed, as I like to say this episode. I'm not trying to copy you. I'm also going to take Vandy. I think Vandy is more I don't know, but I think Vandy is definitely a better team, especially with, besides SEC play, they have been winning. Just simply winning. Obviously, A&M has done the same, but it's been lesser opponents versus SEC opponents for Vandy. I think if A&M plays those top dogs like Bama, Florida, Vandy, you could argue Georgia. I won't. But you need to win those games if you're a true contender in the SEC. I don't think A&M does that, especially not in Vandy. SEC, this is the top 2 teams in the SEC for me, and I think this is a very tough one to pick. Kentucky going into Florida. These 2 teams know what the stakes are. Whoever wins is number 1 in the SEC, and likely is going to be number 1 until the tournament. Yeah, this is so tough. These 2 teams play roughly the same. Kentucky is more hot. I think Florida is a better team, but I'm gonna, this isn't really going to spoil anything. I'm going to change the color to blue. I think when it comes down to it, I think that home crowd of Florida is just too much to handle. I think Kentucky is a very good team. I think they started out slow, but even so, I think they can go honestly deep in the NCAA tournament. But I think Florida is just better. I think they're just a better team. They're more well-rounded. That's all I got. I think, considering I saw your reaction, I think we're picking the same teams again. But Kentucky and Florida, who you got?
Kolstin kind of alluded to it. I'm gonna change it to orange just to, not that it makes a difference or anything, but I'm also gonna pick Florida. I think Florida has been, ever since the start of the year where they started slow.
Both these teams started
And I can't pick against Florida. I know I'm picking the home team. I'm picking with Kolstin.
Hey, last week I was 17-5. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I'm 11 games back, so I can't really follow you forever. Ooh. Does Purdue get it done at home? Or on the road, actually, sorry. Are they able to come out of Carver Hawkeye Arena, come out by the scape of their teeth? The answer to that question, yes, they will. Smith is going to need to ball out against Sturitz. Sturitz. That's the best effort I have. I think if Purdue, if they lose this game, you could argue they shouldn't be ranked.
Not ranked, but they should be like
20 in the 20s.
Yes, easily in the 20s.
I think this game is too important for Purdue to lose. Kolstin, Big Ten. Valentine's night. Who do you got?
I don't know why Fox is just picking like the best ranked versus unranked games. Unimportant. I have said this time and time again. It's a fast team versus a physical team, Purdue and Iowa, and I like physical. Now, I am no fan of Purdue. I'm actually somewhat of a hater of Purdue. They are way overhyped for what they are. But Iowa is just also not playing great. They are obviously 8-4, 8-15, but Purdue is Purdue. Even if I don't like Purdue, they are still easily a natty contender. You can beat anyone. You can lose to anyone. But especially since Purdue has been kind of cold recently, they need not a big win, but they need wins like this to keep them afloat. And I think Iowa is that type of game where you need the win. And I think they get it. We're really picking the same here, Purdue and Iowa. But we keep it going. Number 1 in the nation. I think this heavily relies on if Arizona loses to Kansas. But Obi Toppin and the well-roundedness of Arizona, might I add, is a tough battle for Obi Toppin. I'm not going to pick against the Wildcats. I'm sorry. We might be picking the same teams again. Now, I feel like if there was one team who would just get a statement win out of nowhere, it would be Texas Tech because they're just so random for some reason. But I can't bet against the number 1 team in the nation. They're undefeated. They're 10-0 in conference play. I have them being still undefeated. I think if they lose that Kansas game, there's a very good chance they lose this game. Texas Tech is so unpredictable. But with 16-1, the NCAA tournament seeds, who you got? The Red Raiders and the Wildcats.
Kolstin, I really don't like you this week. We are picking everything. This is so weird. If you're one of the 3 active listeners who watches every week, that isn't named Kolstin. So, this never happens. But I'm picking Arizona. I just think that you can't bet against the number 1 team at home. Houston and Iowa State. This is a game you can't wait for. If you know me, you know who I'm picking. I think Houston is going to go into Iowa State and beat Iowa State. Kolstin's shaking his head. It might be a different pick for once. So, that means this game means more than anything. But I just love Houston's physicality. They have 1 loss, and it's to, I believe, Texas Tech on the road. Iowa State is kind of like Texas Tech. Am I right on that, Kolstin? So, in some ways they are. But I just think Houston, they're going to need to step up. They're going to need to lock in. And I think Houston has the physicality to do that. Kolstin, I'm going to change it to red for you. Who do you got? Big 12 top 5 showdown.
I would like to mention, this is completely random, rebounds for the top 1 and assists are the exact same. Now, obviously, different players, all that. But I'm not going to take Houston. I don't think Houston has the offense that Iowa State has, and I think the defenses, both these defenses are pretty good. Obviously, Houston's, in my opinion, is elite. But I think Iowa State has a good enough defense where they can hold off Houston and get more points than Houston. I think Iowa State's offense better than Houston's. This is obviously 3-5. This is a top 5 matchup. Technically, this is the best game. So, we'll see how it goes down. But as of right now, this is differing opinions. So I'm going to take Iowa State. We go into the atrocity that is Penn State. Neither of these 2 teams are good, but I mean, Penn State looks so unbelievably bad that I just cannot pick them, especially in Washington. Now, obviously, Washington's not good. They're the definition of mediocre, 12-12. But 4-9 in conference play. I feel like every game is a winnable game for Penn State. But going into Washington, they're not going to pick up the win. Maybe Aaden has a differing opinion at 10:30, which, by the way, Penn State's players are going to be tired. But the Nittany Lions and the Huskies, who you got?
As much as I would love to pick my Penn State Nittany Lions, I just can't pick them cross-country on the road. At 10:30 at night. Well, it would be... Oh. It would... No, this would be 1 a.m. for Penn State. They would be playing at 1 a.m. Eastern time.
It's 10:30 Eastern time for us.
I thought it was on location. I knew that. That's going to be my worst pick of the night. But no, just give me Washington. I think Penn State, Mingo's going to need to step up if Penn State wants any shot. Now, obviously, I will be rooting for the Nittany Lions, but I don't want the Huskies to win. I think the Huskies are just going to do enough to come out victorious.
So basically a normal Penn State game.
Yeah, as of late. UNLV and Boise State. Kolstin, you're going to think you're in the Twilight Zone. But I'm picking Boise State for once. The common thing is if you don't know, I never picked Boise State. They lost their first game to the Hawaii Pacific Sharks. And I haven't picked them since. I just, with the hot streak they've been on, I can't pick against Boise State. Yeah, I think I know who you're going to pick. Kolstin, over to you.
Yeah, if you know me, UNLV's a bum. Give me Boise by 50. Now we're gonna make this close because Boise State does not like to close out games. We're Mifflin County, so But granted, sometimes we do win in those close games. So, but yeah, if we lose against UNLV, chalk the season. All that jazz. We don't really need to talk about it, but good win for Boise. That's really all I got. This is the one game Penn State can win, and I'm taking them. Going into Oregon, they just played Purdue tough. They're going to be tired. They're going to lose. Penn State by 50. I wish I had a Penn State sweatshirt on. Penn State by 50. That's all I got. Aaden, the next few slides I think it's like darts Olympics. I don't really remember. So I will be in the background. I'll be here for the outro. But you get to pick, and you get the ending. Penn State and Oregon. Who you got in Duck Stadium, Matthew Knight Arena?
Everybody wants to know who I have. By everybody, I mean Kolstin. As much as I love my Nittany Lions, this team's going to be so tired. They're coming off. Did they play the night before, or was it 2 nights? Kolstin, I'm going to get rid of your marking here. If I may, thank you.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, they do get 2 nights of rest off. I'm picking the Ducks. Penn State's going to be tired. It's cross country. And I'm the Penn State fan. Kolstin's the Boise fan. I'm picking against my own team. I've lost all faith in Penn State. But now that the basic sports are done, for those people who love the weird sports that may not everybody else know, let's talk about 2 great events. First, we're going to start off in the world of motorsports, the Daytona 500. The biggest race in all of stock car racing. It's going to be very big. It's going to be, pure chaos. Everybody's expecting the big one. It's Speed Week. People that I'm looking out for, you obviously got to look at William Byron. The guy's won the last 2. Kyle Busch, he's been a racer for 23 years. I believe this is his 23rd season, has yet to win one. He's won everything else in the motorsport. Denny Hamlin, obviously with the tragic passing of his father, he's going to have a lot on his shoulders. And, he's already got 3. Good look out for another. But in my personal opinion, I know he's my guy. I'm picking Kyle Busch to win the Daytona 500. Not officially. I want to see the speeds and stuff. But he's due for a 500 win. It's been 23 years. This is just me picking with my heart about that one. And now, we go to the real world. the world of darts. Night 1 of the Premier League happened. Night 2 is happening this Thursday. Michael van Gerwen came out victorious, winning the night 1 over Gian van Veen. You know, Luke Littler lost to GVV in his first match, which, you know, the reigning champ, Luke Humphreys, came out with a win, lost to MVG. You know, night 2 is happening this Thursday. I believe it's the first round matchups are Van Gerwen and Rock. The marker's not working, but we're going to have some good matches. If I had to give my pick, Gian van Veen, he's been – what? Give me GVV to win the night. He's been so close in so many different spots. But now let's go to the I'm not even touching the smart board now. The Winter Olympics. Obviously, as of Monday at 4:41 Eastern Standard Time, Italy's leading, 6 bronze medals. But in the gold, Norway and Switzerland are tied at 3. Italy, Japan, Norway, Switzerland, Germany are your top 5. I think USA is 6th, maybe 7th. Don't do the thing. Yeah, it's going to be curious. The main sport that I'm going to be focusing on in this Winter Olympics is going to be hockey because Canada, USA, obviously last year with the Four Nations rivalry, it's going to be a very fun game to watch. That's all for me. Kolstin, want to come do the outro? Thank you. Good boy. Yeah, no, come on. Don't be shy. Come on. Look at this little guy right here. But, you know, a lot of eerily similar picks. This is a weird episode. Yeah. So, the
Sam Howell episode.
Don't expect this to change a lot and expect these two to be very close. And expect really this to be close between the two of us. That's going to do it for us. Thank you all for watching. I'm Aaden Stevens. He's Kolstin Diven. I'll see you guys in the next week.
No, obviously, there's one more thing to talk about. You know, it's not on here because we can't really predict it because, you know, then we get in trouble. But we've got MCTV Live Sports. I was trending towards it the entire episode. Tonight, this will not be posted in time, but we've got boys basketball against Alatoona, you know, all that. But obviously, I believe they're 3-18. They're not great, but they just beat Harrisburg, who is very good. A game winner, 73-72, if I remember correctly. But Mifflin County has been getting better recently. Very streaky team, but still. And then I believe Mifflin County, four of the last 5 at least they've won. But then Thursday and Friday, it's a doubleheader for the girls. They get back-to-back. I don't even know who we're playing. I'm not gonna lie. So we got Southern Huntington on Thursday, State College on Friday. That's from Aaden, so it's not a reliable source. Check for yourself. But besides that, that's really all I wanted to talk about. But that'll do it, the Sam Howell episode, because who needs Sam Darnold when you have Sam Howell? I really should stop. Yeah, really should stop dissing Sam Darnold. At least he won a Super Bowl. That was very cool of him. Yeah. But that'll do it. Episode 14 of the MC Report. Aaden joining alongside me. But that'll do it. See ya.